When was the last time Democrats had a landslide election in each state for governor? That's what we're going to find out today. We already took a look at every state as a whole. Now we're going to break it down by party. Today it's going to be the Dems. And in these videos, landslide is defined as 15% or more. It's subjective and you might have a different percent, but we're going to use 15. So at the top, I've got 8 tiers of shading. And this time we're going to go back to using each decade, starting with the 2020s and then going all the way back before the 1960s. Now, there's a ton of data here. This did take some time to put together, so it's always possible there could be a mistake that slips through. If it happens, let me know down below in the comments. Before we get into it, which state do you think has had the longest drought for the Dems? So we're going to dive in, and a lot of these are fairly recent. So let's start with the first tier, the 2020s. Almost all of these states are for their most recent governor's election, but we're going to start in 2022. First up is California. Gavin Newsom won re-election by more than 18%. Then we've got Colorado, Jared Polis, he pulled it off by 19. Then we've got Hawaii, Josh Green, a huge 26-point win. In Maryland, we've got Wes Moore winning by a gigantic 34 points. In Massachusetts, Maura Healey won by 29%. And the last state for 22 is Rhode Island. Dan McKee was the winner and his margin was 19%. One more state in this tier, but it's back in 2020. That's going to be Delaware. They didn't do it in 24, but they did do it in 20 with John Carney winning his second term by 21%. Let's go back another tier. We've got the 2010s. First up, it's Illinois. Here it's J.B. Pritzker defeating incumbent Republican Bruce Rauner by 15.5%. Then in New York, we've got Andrew Cuomo winning his third term by a big 23%. One more state in this tier, and this time it's a swing state. It's Pennsylvania. It was close in 2022, but the last time the Dems pulled it off here was 2018. The winner was Tom Wolf. He won re-election by a convincing 17%. Next up, we're going to go back 4 more years, and we've got a state that has only 2-year terms for governor. This time the state is Vermont. The Democrat was Peter Shumlin. That was his last term, and he won it by 20%. Next up, we're going to go back 3 years this time. This time it's a red state. It's Kentucky. We've got the father of the current governor, Andy Beshear. It's Steve Beshear. He won a second term there by a big 18 points. Next up, we're going to go back 1 more year, and it's another red state. This time it's Arkansas. This is the last time the Dems won it, period, but Mike Beebe won it by a landslide margin of 31 points. That's it for that tier. Now we're going to go back to the 2000s decade. The year this time is 2008. The state is Missouri, and the Democrat this time is Jay Nixon. His margin was 19%. Next up, we've got Montana. The governor was Brian Schweitzer. He won re-election by a pretty big 33 points. And the next state is back in New England. It's New Hampshire. This time the winner was John Lynch, and his margin was huge. It was 42.5 points. The last state for this year is another super red one. It's West Virginia. In 2008, Joe Manchin was the winner, and his margin was 34. Back in 2006, we've got the Grand Canyon State, Arizona. This time, the winner was Janet Napolitano, and her margin was 27. Next up, in Kansas, the winner was Kathleen Sebelius, and her margin was 17. Back in the Southwest, next to Arizona, it's New Mexico. This time, Bill Richardson secured another term, and his margin was a clear landslide of more than 37%. Next, we're going to go back toward the Midwest. It's Ohio. Here, the last Democrat to win was one-term governor Ted Strickland, and his margin was 24%. Then a couple more red states. First, it's Tennessee. The governor here is Phil Bredesen, and his margin was a gigantic 39%. And not to be outdone, in another red state, Wyoming, Dave Friedenthal also won re-election, this time topping a mammoth 40%. It's hard to even imagine states like that today supporting a Democrat, period, let alone won by dozens of points. But we're going to keep going. We've got 1 more state in this decade. This time it's a blue state. You might not think of it, but it's in the Northwest, and it's Washington. 2000 was the last time it eclipsed 15%, and the winner there was Gary Locke, and his margin was 19%. Now we're going to dip back into the 1990s, starting in 1998. First, in Alabama, Don Siegelman won by 16% over former incumbent governor Fob James. In Alaska, incumbent Democrat Terry Knowles won by 33% in a multi-candidate race. Last state for 98 is another blue one. It's on the West Coast. It's Oregon. You have to go back to the last century to find out the last time this state actually had a landslide for governor, and the winner was John Kitzhaber and his margin, 34%. Next, it's the Cornhusker state, Nebraska. The year was 1994, and the governor this time is Ben Nelson, and his margin is colossal. It's over 46%. Next, back in the Midwest, Indiana, they just missed out in 2000, but the last time a Democrat did it was 1992. The winner was Evan Bayh, and his margin, 25 points. Then in the Deep South, Louisiana, the year 1991, the Democrat here is the legend Edwin Edwards, and he secured his fourth term by 22.5%. Then 1 year prior, in 1990, we're going to take a look at Idaho. Here we've got Cecil Andrus, who also secured his fourth term by 36%. How about the next state? It's Nevada. It's the same year, 1990. The winner, Bob Miller, his margin, 35 points. Then there's one more state in this tier, and it's another super red one. It's Oklahoma. The winner here is going to be David Walters in a three-way race, and his margin was 23%. Time to go back another tier into the 1980s. Now you might start to see more surprises. The first state in this tier is New Jersey. They just missed out in 2001, but the last time they actually pulled off 15 points was way back in 1989. The winner was James Florio, and his margin, 24%. Next, in North Dakota, the year is 1988. The winner, George Sinner, and his margin, 20 points. That's also the last time the Democrats have won, period. Next, another blue state. It's Connecticut. It might be surprising, but the year this time is way back in 1986. The winner was William Bill O'Neill, and his margin was almost 17%. Next, in the Sun Belt, it's a swing state. It's Georgia. The year again is 1986. The winner was incumbent Democrat Joe Frank Harris, and his margin, a big 41 points. And the last state for 1986 is another swing state. It's in the Rust Belt. It's Michigan. The winner here, James Blanchard, and his margin, 36%. Next up, we're going to go back to 1983. We've got one state. It's Mississippi. The name here is Bill Elaine, and his margin, 16. Next, we're going to go back to 1982, and we've got a few states. First is way in the northeast corner. It's Maine. The Democrat this time is Joseph Brennan, and his margin was 24%. That is the last time a Democrat pulled it off here. However, independent Angus King, when he was governor in the 90s, he did have a landslide win, but technically he's not a Democrat. The other state in this tier is back in the southeast. It's South Carolina. The winner here, Richard Riley, and his margin, a massive, nearly 40 points. Moving on to the next state, it's Florida. This time, we're looking at Bob Graham, and his margin is 29%. The last state in this tier is Minnesota. It's probably fairly surprising considering how blue the state is. But the last Democrat to actually pull off a landslide here was Rudy Perpich in 1982, and his margin was 19%. There's one more state in the 1980s, and it might be another shock. It's considered a purple state, and it's North Carolina. They just missed out in the last election in 2022 with Josh Stein, but the last time it was north of 15% was back in 1980. The Democrat that year was Jim Hunt, and his margin, 24%. Now we're going to go back even further. We've got the 1970s. The first state this time is Texas, and the year is 1974. That was Dolph Briscoe securing the win by a landslide, 30%. For the next state, we've got to go back to 1972. That's South Dakota. The winner here is Richard Knight, and his margin, 20 points. Next, it's another pretty red state. It's Utah. It's the same year, 1972. The winner, Cal Rompton, and his margin was way up there at 39%. Now we're going to go back to the 1960s. And for these, I almost think that I must have made a mistake somewhere going this far back. Well, next up, the year is going to be 1964. The governor is going to be Harold Hughes, and his margin was 27%. Can you guess the state? This one is going to be the Hawkeye state. It's Iowa. Only two states left. And for the next state, we're going to go back just 3 more years. This time, it's Virginia. The winner here is going to be Albertus Harris, and his margin, 28%. That leaves one state remaining, and this time it's the last Rust Belt state. It's Wisconsin. Now, this did surprise me, and I tried to double and triple check most of this data. The Dems almost pulled it off here in 1982, but not quite. If you're looking for the last time, it was actually a 15-point margin. You're not going to find it during anybody's lifetime, and almost nobody's grandparents' lifetime. You've got to go way back to 53, not 1953. It's 1853. That's pretty far back in their statehood, but the winner that year was William Barstow. He defeated an independent candidate by 15.3. That is actually the last time the Democrats pulled off a landslide win here for governor. And after that, that's the entire map. So we've got a great looking map here. Of course, most of the states have done it within the past couple of elections. But even some blue states, you've got to go back more than a few decades. A lot of that is because governor is usually a whole different dynamic than federal elections. Usually the minority political party has an opportunity to have some success. So it is surprising to see some bluer states that you've got to go back way farther than some of the red ones. Dems had a lot of success in some more conservative states 10 to 20 years ago, but they came up dry on a landslide in Connecticut and New Jersey in the past 30 plus years. I would think they could be due to end some of these streaks like Minnesota or potentially even Virginia if it turns into a big wave. Other than that, some of these streaks are bound to go on for a bunch more decades. Short of something crazy happening, I don't see the Dems putting up a landslide in South Dakota anytime soon. But a landslide is tough. Usually to get to a landslide, all the pieces have to fall into place. Plenty of these states, you need a lot of crossover vote as well. Takes a unique kind of candidate and the right type of environment to pull it off. So we'll see how the Republicans do in a future video. But for now, this is the last time the Democrats pulled off a landslide win for governor in all 50 states. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this map? Which state surprised you the most? Do you remember some of these governors from way back? Which streak do you think is going to end next? Did I get any of the data wrong? Let me know what you think down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.